Should have combed my hair. Okay, it's 10 people in. It's already 9:36, so we can start. Just check whether is anyone sending me any messages. No. Yeah. Okay, let's get going. So, in the previous session, we covered up to PI grid, power influence grid, and today we'll talk about RACI matrix. So,
Shruth, we covered communication plan as I remember.
okay.
Yeah.
So, did we stop right here or did we cover this?
Right. No. Communication plan was the last stop.
Okay. So, let's start with stakeholder analysis. But any questions up to now? Did you guys go through the session, the topics that was discussed till the previous session? Okay, I'll take that as an yes. Now, okay, let's start with stakeholder analysis. So stakeholder analysis is nothing but who's the go-to person. It says stakeholder analysis is the process of assessing a system and potential changes to this as they relate to relevant and interested parties, meaning who's the go-to person. Now there are two types in this. One is PI grid and another one is RACI matrix. PI grid is the power influence grid. So now I'll take up the teaching material that I have. Okay, so let me go to the stakeholders. I have all the stakeholders listed somewhere in here.
Shruth, once it is done, no, just send the PPT so that we can go through it.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So we discussed about this in the previous session. There are two types of staffs. Broadly, we can broadly classify the business team into two types of staffs. One is the high-level staffs. They're primarily responsible for giving requirements. Another set of staffs are end users, and they'll be in the loop based on the kind of requirement or the enhancement item. So say for example, if it's Uber, this is another simple example that I want to give. If you open the Uber application, okay, so drivers will be using one segment of the application, one epic in that application, or one component in that application. There is right. If I just open my Uber, if you also open your Uber, it will be better. You'll be able to see, or I think I can open it in my browser, but then I don't know. I think it's more geared for cell phone. So this is it. Okay, that is okay. Let me see if I can open it here. Uber. If I just go into this Uber, we'll see what it shows. Okay, it's showing all these things, all these cool things, but then it's better if I just talk out of what it shows in my phone. So if I open my Uber application, if you guys have, I'm sure everybody is having Uber, you guys can open it too. It has ride, food, two wheels, vaccine, package, grocery in there, okay? So now ride is a component and food is another component, okay? So whoever is using ride on the customer side, I mean on the business side, so the driver will be using the ride, all these Uber drivers. And food, the delivery staff would be using food, that segment of the application. Grocery, that would be used by another set of end users. Package, there is an option called package, that will be used by another set of end users. There is a component called vaccine, that will be used by another set of end users. And there is a component called rent. I'm pretty sure that will be used by another part of another set of end users. Likewise, the same science applies in here in every other application that we use, be it intranet or internet, the same science applies. So the end users will be based on the kind of requirement or enhancement item. So if we are going to make some changes to the right feature, the end users will be based on that. So I'm giving a rudimentary example, but then equate it to other complicated applications, right? Equate it to a mortgage loan processing application or an insurance application or some sort of key performance indicators for customer service reps kind of an application where the manager would gauge the key performance level of all the customer service reps. If we are going to make changes to that part of the application, then customer service reps managers will be there in the meeting, or they'll be in the loop. So this is kind of a who's the go-to person. So in the case where if the staffs are going to be high-level staffs, so it's going to be power. They'll have high power, right? So these staffs will have high power. These 3 or 4 staffs. Because they'll be there in each and every requirement meeting. And they are there. So they're primarily. So if you are going to start a project, then they are going to be there in each and every requirements meeting, and they'll be primarily and their word overrides the words of the end user, the directions of the end user. So if they have to get something through, it has to come through the high level staffs. So they'll have high power. And then influence. Obviously, they'll have high influence, right? Interest. They might have medium interest or high interest. Support. Neutral support. To get a refund on my education sometimes. Have to get a refund on my education. Okay, neutral. So they might have neutral interest, right? Neutral support, correct? Meaning, if you want to understand the current application process flow or the current business process flow, they are not going to come and sit down with you and mollycoddle you all along the way. They'll just come to that meeting. If you ask questions, they'll give answers. They are not going to mollycoddle you through the business process flow. So if your question is going to be on step 4, they are not going to say step 1 is like this, that's why step 2 is like this, that's why step 3 is like this, and this is the answer for step 4. They'll right away talk about step 4. If you're not able to understand this, let me know. But then your end users, you can just go to them in an analysis meeting, not a requirements gathering meeting. When you do your analysis, you can do a one-on-one and say, I have absolutely no clue of this business process flow. Don't use these exact words, but then I'm just trying to get the point across. I don't know about these. I don't know anything about the business process flow. Can you please walk me through it and share your screen? Share your screen and can you walk me through it? They'll share their screen and they'll walk you through it. Right? So obviously it is high support. And will they have high power? I'll say it's low power. Will they have high influence? I'll say they'll have low influence or medium influence. The same can be done for any other staffs. So now we've talked about these high level staffs and end users from business. Okay. Let me highlight it in red. Let me change the color of the text to red. Okay. Now the same applies for, it's again coming in my way. Okay. The same applies for even IT staffs like project manager. They'll have high power, high influence. Definitely, it will be high support for you. Definitely, they have to support. If your team is struggling, they have to support you. I'm not able to get connected to any end users. I'll go and tell my project manager, do something. He'll do it. So, couple of BAs worked into my organization, and then they were not getting any knowledge transfer. This happened this month. They are not getting any knowledge transfer. So, what did they do? Uh, so they were kind of asking other BAs actually, but we were kind of sort of reluctant to give these knowledge transfers because we were kind of concerned that they might take over or they might take the lead. So we were just giving them some limited information. This happens, but then so what did they do? They went to the project manager and then they informed the project manager that we are not getting any knowledge transfer. Yeah, of course, yeah, I mean those BAs help, but then there is no formal knowledge transfer session, and for a BA it's very, very important. We want to become end user experts, do something. So my project manager had to go and talk to the director of business or director of IT. Some director level staff, many had said no. So he directly went to the director of staffs and then he made sure that they got the knowledge transfer. And then I went to my project manager and said, can we also chime in? Can we also join? Because it's been a while since we've had our knowledge transfer. And so can we have an opportunity to learn more about the application as an end user? He said, okay, you can also come in, and it's like a 3-day session. Which I'll also be a part of along with the new BAs and another BA in the same team. He's been around for a while too, so he's also going to be a part of that knowledge transfer. 3-day knowledge transfer. So a project manager will always give high support. So in this case, we didn't get knowledge transfer. We went to the project manager and he actually organized formal events. So a very experienced subject matter expert will come, and that person will be that person's specialization will be training of that application, and they'll know all the ins and outs. So they'll give that 3-day knowledge transfer where you can take your first step in becoming an end user expert. So hope you get the idea. So in this case, he has given high support. So I'll also put high support. So likewise, you can do this for everything, for every other stuff. But then they'll do it mostly for the business staffs, and some IT staffs, maybe some director level staffs or some developer SMEs. Because if new developers are going to walk in, subject matter SME stands for subject matter expert. You have to use these terminologies. Some tester SMEs. No, I don't think so. Or BA SMEs. If a BA is going to walk in and expert subject matter experts. Okay. If a new BA walks in, then we don't know who's going to give that KT. Then if there's going to be one BA who's worked on that team for 15 years, 10 years, that person will be a SME. So we can guide him to that person. High support. But then everything else will be low. Only support and attitude will be, only support will be high. So this is the idea behind power influence grid. This is the purpose of power influence grid. Again, this is something that we briefly touched on in the last session. This is how it's supposed to be done. But are we doing this? No. Most of the time, we don't do all these things. In my organization, these things are not there. We don't have any power influence there. But I'm pretty sure there are organizations which are very organized. They'll have all these elements in place. Any questions? No questions?
I actually do have one. Sorry, I lost the connection. About the power transfer, was that about if there's something that the BA doesn't know, that's when they join that session of the training?
I did not say power transfer, I said knowledge transfer.
Oh, sorry, knowledge. Yes, sorry, knowledge transfer. I'm sorry.
So knowledge transfer is not, that's a good question. Knowledge transfer is nothing but if you go into an organization tomorrow as a business analyst, you're walking in, you have absolutely no clue of what's going on, right? So if I'm working there for 3 years, you'll connect with me and you'll get some knowledge transfer. I'll show you, okay, this is the Uber application. I'll just open the application. I'll just open this application and I'll show you around. If this is the application that we are developing, I'll open this and I'll show you around. Okay, this is a component. This is a component, and this is the last enhancement that we did. And how we document it. Are we documenting it in Jira or are we documenting it in a Word document? And who's the go-to person? So I'll tell you everything. And what is the code behind for this? Is it coded in .NET? And I think you are in a system session, right? So you must be knowing this. So what is the code behind for this? What is the database? The access for the database, access for the application, and all these things. You need the help of another BA. So I'll help you out. I'll give you the knowledge transfer. That is what is called knowledge transfer. So this is how it's done. But then we can also do it very formally. So say for example, we want to have a formal knowledge transfer session. In the case where we want to have a formal knowledge transfer session, if it's going to be for a business analyst, this differs based on the type of staff. If it's a BA, then they will arrange for a very experienced end user who is specialized in training. So who will they be training? They'll be training the end users actually, meaning staff who are using this Uber Eats. So in this case, Uber Eats are used by any Tom, Dick, and Harry. But let's assume that this Uber Eats is an intranet application. Okay, so let's assume this Uber Eats is an intranet application, and I'm pretty sure Uber Eats will have an intranet application, though this is the internet application aspect of it. So in that case, whoever is going to be in the other side of the business, whoever is going to handle the intranet part of that application, for that person, for that employee who's going to come in, they don't know anything about the intranet application, right? So this trainer will train them. So they'll contact the same trainer and they'll tell the trainer to train the BS for that 3 days or 2 days, or it can be for just 1 day, where they'll give you an introduction or a very elaborate deep dive on the application, so that you can take the first step towards becoming an end user expert, so that you can get familiarity with the application. So did that answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question here. So we do this PI grid for the stakeholder analysis, and then we come up with a matrix, right, as an outcome of this exercise.
Yeah, it's called requirement traceability matrix.
No. I'm talking about PI grid as an outcome of this, as part of the stakeholder analysis from the PI grid perspective, in terms of knowing which stakeholder has got high power, low influence, or medium power and low influence. So we need to ideally come up with a matrix, right? Do we?
Yeah, we have to come up with a matrix. It can be in a Word document or an Excel document. Mostly they'll use Excel. And then the names of all the staffs will be listed. And then this info will be listed. Do they have high power or high influence or high support? Or there might be power, influence, support. And then what is the other element? Influence, power, influence, interest, support. So all those 4 columns will be there. And then accordingly, we'll just put,
Yeah.
envisioning it to be like this. So if it could be, I'm just going to type in random names. So So this will be the name. Power. So name could be Sam. Power, and then there will be the designation. There might be another column. Insert entire column. So there might be name and then designation. So Sam, this person is going to be a director of business, of IT business, or a director level staff. So I'll just say policy. Power will be high, influence will be high, support will be medium. And then you can list everybody else. Same principle, you can just list many names, and then there will be a designation, power, influence, support. The fourth one is interest, is it? Yeah, interest. So likewise, they'll fill it in. It should be as simple as this. Okay. So this is how it's going to be. Any questions? We good? Can we go to the next topic? Okay.
Sure.
So next is RACI Matrix. Again, this follows more or less the same signs. R for responsible. The person who does the work to achieve the task, they have the responsibility for getting the work done or decision made. As a rule, this is one person. Examples might be a business analyst, application developer, or a technical architect. So if you get an enhancement item for which you have to go and gather requirements, then as a business analyst, you are responsible for that. Application developer, if that same enhancement is given to a developer once the requirements are gathered, that developer will be responsible. Same applies for testers, and it goes on. So that's responsible. And accountable and responsible are more or less same. So accountable, it says, the person who is accountable for the correct and thorough completion of the task. This might be one person and is often the project executive or project sponsor. This role is the role that responsible is accountable to and approves their work. So this one is more or less the same as responsible, but then accountable would be mostly manager level staffs. So a project manager is accountable for thorough and successful execution of project. A portfolio manager is accountable to thorough and proper execution of a set of projects. So a responsible person would report to the so that's what this says, right? So this is the role that responsible is accountable to, meaning so these people will report to accountable. So that more or less says it's talking about project managers and portfolio managers and so on. So it could be a project sponsor who's accountable to bring in the money. There's going to be 4 developers, then you have to at least pay them $200,000 to keep them on board per year. If they are contractors, they are full-timers, at least $160 to $150 to $180,000. They are high-level experienced staff. You have to spend that much on them. So there has to be a sponsor who must be accountable to bring in the money. So consulted is again, so say for example, consulted would be high level staffs for your requirement gathering, end users for current process flows. And then it could also go up to expertise on the end user, expertise on the end user related expertise. It could be some sort of a trainer whom you should consult in order to do a knowledge transfer session. If there are new staffs coming in, new BS coming in. And by the way, when I say trainers, they are not going to train you on business analysis. They'll just walk you through the application and they'll help you understand how the application is being used. So yeah, FYI. So consultant says the people who provide information for the project and with whom there is two-way communication. This is used to usually several people, often subject matter experts. So this more or less says high-level business staffs are end users. They would be consulted. What is informed? The people kept informed of progress and with whom there is one-way communication. These are people that are affected by outcome of the task, so need to be kept up to date. So informed would be director of IT or director of that some other director level staffs inclined towards business. So they will all be the informed staffs. So there's not going to be any two-way communication between the project manager and all these management level staffs who are higher up in the hierarchy. So there'll only be, we will just send out emails just to keep them updated. So that will be informed. Mostly will be high level staff. You cannot just go to a very high level staff and just start a conversation. Any questions?
Yes. Can one person in the organization be both consulted and informed, or all the four?
They could be responsible and accountable because it can be used interchangeably. Consulted would be, I think of it as business staffs. It could be the high level business staffs who give out requirements, the director level staffs, or it could be end users. So this could be can be used interchangeably, responsible and accountable. Consulted, yeah, of course, they can be used interchangeably. So the high level staffs are responsible to give out requirements, right? That way they can be used interchangeably, but I don't think it is used interchangeably. The responsible would be mostly IT. Accountable will also be mostly IT, and then some project sponsors or high level staffs who are bringing in the money or some way inclining towards IT. They have some activity in IT. Consulted would be, who are we supposed to go and consult for info from the perspective of IT. So this would be business staffs or end users, some other staffs in the tech support division. But then I don't think it's going to be somebody who's going to be inside the IT. So to answer your question, an informed would be high level staff who should be kept in loop. It could be business or IT. So it can be used interchangeably, but I don't think they'll be used interchangeably. Consulted would just be mostly they'll be business staffs. Informed will be high level staffs. Accountable would be project managers and the person who's going to bring in the money. So it could be that kind of a thing. And responsible would be developers, business analysts, whoever is responsible for that task. They can be used interchangeably, but I don't think they'll use it like that because it won't be very, very sensible if they do that. Did I answer your question?
Yes, it did.
And nothing is really set in stone. So this is just showing them the path. Okay, They can cycle on it, they can ride on a bike, they can walk, they can run, they can do whatever they want. This is, but then the path is going to remain the same. And there are
And
instances that
who
don't even have a RACI matrix. That is the beauty.
and who is going to prepare this? A business side BA or a regular BA? Who is going to prepare this
BA
one?
will, a BA will not prepare this. So this will be prepared by high-level staff, management or IT management or a program manager or a portfolio manager. Mostly it's going to be a project manager or a portfolio manager who will be preparing this. But then you have to be aware of how this is prepared.
I have a question. So the RACI matrix, is that like a process?
It's not a process. It is a. It is another artifact. Meaning, I'm trying to come out of the screen, but it is not letting me. 1 second. Okay, I'm stuck. Okay, it can be in an Excel. So again, just like the power influence grid, it could be. I'll open another Excel. Can't because this is a new file.
So it's a tool?
It's not a tool. It's just you could use a pen and paper and you can draw it in a sheet of paper, or you can use Word, or you can use Excel. Mostly they'll use Excel to come up with this. Yes, I'll show you a sample. I don't know. I'm not able to come up with this on top of my head. But then it's going to be in an Excel document like this, where they'll have the names of the staffs and then whether they are responsible for a specific task or not. So this just says if there's going to be a development task, who's responsible for the development task? Or if there's going to be a testing related task, who's going to be responsible for it? Or if there is going to be a DevOps related task, who's responsible for that? So this again says who's the go-to person. It's a document. It could be an Excel document or a Word document. It's not a process. It's a document that is going to say who's the go-to person, who has to be kept informed. Say you completed the project fully. Who should you inform? You have to know that, right? So this document, say if it's an Excel, this Excel document will contain that info. I'll show a sample in the next session, but then that's what this is. So let's say, for example, okay, the project has begun. You want to know who's the person who has to be consulted to gather requirements. Who should you send out the invite to? Then you can always refer to this RACI matrix and then figure out, okay, these are the people who should be consulted. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we'll also see a sample RACI matrix. I'll prepare that. I'll find one RACI matrix and I can explain through it too. So next is, so any questions on RACI matrix? Any other questions? Okay, I'll take that as a no. So now we are done with the planning phase. One phase is over. Scene being brought.
Oh, actually, can I ask, so does this work on Agile and Waterfall?
This RACI matrix can be, it will be across Agile and Waterfall. Agile and Waterfall are frameworks, but then this can be used across frameworks. It could be an Agile environment or it could be a Waterfall environment. So agile and waterfall, it's just a way of approach, right? So on a very high level, what is agile? Agile is when I give you a product. So if you are going to build a car in agile, you'll build the wheel first, and then you'll show it to the end user or the business. Then you'll build the seats, and then you'll show it. Then you'll build the engine, and then you'll show it. And then you'll build the lights, and you'll show it. And then you'll build the electric system, you'll show it. And then you'll say everything is okay. Then you'll assemble it, test it, and then give it to the business. But in waterfall, they'll give you the framework. They'll give you a documentation. That's the framework which you have to refer to. That is the plan that you have to refer to, a hard documentation that's approved. You will build the car, test it, and show it to the end user, to the business, so that they can test it. If the test clears, they'll sell it. That is the difference between agile and waterfall on a very high level, in a nutshell. So RACI Matrix is above all that. It's across all that. Be it agile or waterfall, this matrix can be present and this matrix will be useful. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? And I think somebody had something to say. Okay, Kumar sent us a link. What is this? Okay, thank you. I have also seen it being plotted on an XY axis as shown on this link. Okay. Yeah, I'll prepare a template, a sample template, and a couple of templates in the next session, and we can go through it for better understanding. So so we are done with. For some reason, I'm not able to. Okay, so we are done with planning, and we are done with planning. So the first phase, we completed the first phase. Now we are going to talk about analysis. Okay, so this is another phase, and something that I want to tell you, and we also discussed about this briefly in the previous sessions, and I have it here somewhere. Okay, here it is. Planning is on the level of project. Okay. Every other phase, starting from analysis, is on the level of release. Are we clear on this? So for one project, there will be one planning phase. Or if it's going to be maintenance, there will be a planning phase every year because it's maintenance. But if it's a project, there will only be one planning phase. But then analysis, requirements, design, development, it's going to be there for each and every release. For one project, there might be 5 releases. For each and every release, there's going to be analysis, requirements gathering, design, development, testing, deployment. Everything is on the level of release. So are we clear on this? Or do we have questions on this? This is a very important area to understand. Basic, but then crucial. Any questions on this?
Can we go one more time?
Okay. So planning is on the level of project, meaning it is going to be JP Morgan. And we talked about the market expansion and customer defection project, right? So they want to expand their market and then they want to reduce the defection. So we have to come up with features and functionalities based on this purpose. And then we'll talk if this is going to be the business purpose, what is going to be the business goals? The business goals would be reduce customer defection to 10% from 20%, increase customer retention from 80 to 90%, and increase inculcate mechanisms to gather customer feedback. So these are all business goals. All these things, and then sponsor. So and then amount of money that it's going to take. We'll discuss about all these, right? Here. We'll discuss about all these during planning phase, correct? So that will happen only once for a project. That's on the level of project. There's only going to be one planning phase for a project. But then if that project is 3 years, there is going to be 6 releases. For each and every release, you will have an analysis phase 6 times. Requirements phase. For each and every release, you will have a requirements phase. Design, development, testing, and release. But planning will just happen initially when we start out for that project. Did you get it? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Now next.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so just trying to understand and then trying to add few things. So whenever we are inducted into a project, it could be at any level, right? So as a BA, you could ideally also get inducted at analysis stage, not necessarily at planning stage, right?
Yeah, you could get you can go into the organization on any stage. Mostly, just think about it. If it is a project, is it normal to hire someone during the analysis or requirements design development, or during the, I think they'll hire staffs somewhere around after the planning is done. They might hire some new staffs if it's a project based on the budget and all that. So it's kind of normal for them to come in towards the end of planning.
Okay, so maybe a great project. Yeah, okay. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Or sometimes somebody might leave. So it's going to be the second release and somebody can come in. But then generally, what if I think logically, somewhere around the middle of planning or towards the end of planning, they'll hire everybody that they want. And even before they go in for planning, some organization might already have those staffs, right? Some staffs might come in from other projects because that project is going to come to an end, so they might get transferred. So 20-30% of the staffs, they might have to pick new staffs, which they'll pick after the planning is over. It's very in very rare cases they'll pick somebody after the first release or second release because they might need some more expertise, but then that's very rare, and that's going to affect the budget too. So
So another question is something which is very important, which I used to ask, but I was not having an answer. Number one, as and when we get into the project, we need to ask for the project plan, the number of releases that they have proposed, and then I mean, ideally the release in terms of ideally tagged to some functionality or enhancement. So we don't get those info because they would say, no, we are still working on those stuff. So you're getting what I'm asking?
Yeah, I mean, you can always ask for planning documents. They might have it in a SharePoint site, so they'll give it. When it comes to releases, also you can figure it out. You have the so you can ask for documentation of the previous releases. So if you came in on the third release, you could ask for documentation of the first 2 releases. Where is it stored in the share drive or SharePoint? They have to give it to you. I don't think they'll withhold that information. They'll give it to you. I don't think they have to give it to you. I'll be kind of surprised if they don't.
Okay, no, they would say they are still working on it and something of that sort, For example, right, testing how many phases of testing.
How can they be working on it if the release is over?
Sorry?
How will they be working on it if the release is over? If I'm asking for if this is going to be the second release and
correct. Existing I am fine. I'm talking about how many releases that they have in the pipeline and what is their plan. That part.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
So we'll start with analysis. So analysis is the most important phase for a business analyst. Okay. And
can I have a quick question, please?
Yes, please.
So say in terms of so if they're following an agile methodology, would they typically have a product backlog prepared at the end of planning stage, or does it even fall in this? Is it relevant to this conversation?
So product backlog is so it has different definitions in different organizations. So project backlog could be a backlog that would contain all the stories that are for which it could be small enhancement items for which we don't need any requirements phase, or it could be just names of the enhancement item and for which you need some requirements gathering. Or it could be, when you say product backlog, it could be and mostly it's going to have everything in there that's going to be associated with the project on the level of name or on the level of so let's say there are 10 enhancements. Okay, so this is how it is, but I don't want to go.
So the context, the context in which I was asking is, say if they are planning for adding 30 features and they have decided that maybe 10 of these 30 features belong to the first release, and the remaining it's determined which releases they're planning on working on those features or product backlog.
Okay, I'll explain that. So product backlog, think of it as a bucket. Okay, so product backlog in a project would have names of the enhancement item. Okay, it's not going to have enhancement item itself. To explain that further, I'll just open an application. I'll just open Amazon.com. So let's say so this one, I'm just going to reverse engineer this. So this one would be if we need the name for this enhancement, buy again, it's going to be provide the ability to buy again with some recommendations. So that would be the name of this whole enhancement, right? But it's just the name. We could execute this by clicking, having a buy again hyperlink. If you click on it, all the recommendations are going to show. Or it could be a drop down. All the recommendations can show. Or it could be something like this that I have shown. Or it could be just a display text showing buy again. And then if you click on it, it's going to take you to somewhere else. It could be anything, right? But then the name is provide the ability to buy again and then show some recommendations based on previous purchase. This is the name of the enhancement. So the product backlog is just going to have the names of the enhancement items, okay? And then the product backlog, so then using this name, you have to gather the requirements, correct? So you'll just take that name and then just something like ability to display ability to, or something to the effect of buy again recommendation. So that could be a name. So that's what this does, right? It's just recommending me to buy certain things.
Yeah, so sure, the product.
So that's all it does. So the backlog will only have this, but it could be anything. So I could just say buy again and a hyperlink. I could just say buy again, click on that buy again, then there's going to be a drop down. There are 7 other items. And it could be something like whatever they have inculcated right here. And then it could be, so the recommendation could be based on various parameters as well. So that is what the product backlog will contain. Okay. Now, then you said that it's how will we decide how many items will go into each, something to the effect of that each release. But then something we have to keep in mind is product backlog will be refined on a very regular basis, We'll keep on refining it, meaning we'll throw something. So there might be 10 user stories in there. We can add 5 more. We'll take 2 out of it.
True, it's more or less a live document or a live piece of information that keeps on changing.
Yes, it is the live bucket that keeps on changing. You'll throw some stuff in, you'll throw some stuff out. But then, if there are 50 user stories in there, you'll only throw in and throw out somewhere around 2 to 3 or 3 to 4. You're not going to throw in 30 items out and then bring in 30 more items. You'll throw 3 or 4 out and bring in 3 or 4. The ratio will be like that, 10:1. There are 10 items, you'll throw in or bring in 1 item. But you are not going to throw in 5 items if there are only 10 items in there. And then it's only going to have the name of enhancement item. Names of enhancement items. But then
just to add to it, so basically product backlog, it's not just an enhancement item, it would be the list of features that the product, this X product would entail. It could also have the bug fixes or any item, it can have probably any item that, becomes a single source of truth, basically. So enhancement item is also just one among them. So basically it has a list of features, the enhancement items, it has the bug fixes, or any item that could be delivered as part of the release. So from there, as you said, we refine it, we put it in the sprint backlog, which becomes specific to that sprint. Ideally.
Correct. Yeah, that's a very important point that he just put forward. It would also have the defect, data fix, bug, production
any item.
Everything will be in the product backlog. So it keeps on changing. And so, but then and then it's going to be more of a live document, and we'll learn more about product backlog during Agile. We'll deep dive and I'll show you how product backlog is. So, yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So let's start with analysis phase. So this is on the level of release, and analysis phase is the most important phase for a business analyst. It's the most important phase. So a business analyst is only as good as the analysis phase, especially in the case where you are not 100% aware or familiar with the domain. In most number of cases, even if you have 10 years of banking experience and then go into a banking domain, you might not be aware of the process because there are so many processes: credit card, mortgage loan application, key performance indicators for customer service reps, customer intake. Then how do you give out credit cards? What are the parameters? All these things vary from organization to organization. And especially, so if you have some level of familiarity, that's good, but then you cannot have full familiarity. And especially as a business analyst, you might be placed in a state organization, highways. You might have to document the business process flow for a highway, transporting services. I don't know. I've seen these requirements in when I used to market. It's more geared towards business process flows. But then there's no way you can understand New York highways, right? Or New York metropolitan, that metro train related domain. There's no way. Maybe you're walking into that. Maybe that gets outsourced. So there is no way you can understand that, correct? So analysis phase is the phase where you can get familiarity. And how do you use the analysis phase? This is very, very important. So what you do is, let's say for example, your project manager tells you that on the second week of February, there is going to be a requirements gathering meeting. Go and invite everybody. So as a business analyst, what will you do? You'll send out the invite to business liaison, and the business liaison would forward it to other business members, right? Did I capture that somewhere in here? Yeah, here it is. So you'll send it out to the business liaison, and then they'll invite all the high level policy staffs and director staffs and executive staffs, and then the meeting is set 3 weeks from now or 2 weeks from now. Okay, you have 5 to 10 business days to get familiarity with that enhancement. So let's say the enhancement is going to be, I'm going to take up another rudimentary example. Okay, sending out a friend request in Facebook. So if I have to send out a friend request in Facebook, and we are going to enhance that process. Okay, so we are going to enhance the application process flow, which is, how are you going to, which is sending out a friend request in Facebook. So right now, if I go and what and all should I do? I just logged into Facebook, and then there is a search button on right hand top corner, and I have to type in a name. I'm just going to type in a random name, which should be something like some name, Sam, and then Sam's profile displayed, and then 5 or 6 Sam is coming up. The one Sam is a page. One Sam is a business, 3 Sams are there, 3 other Sams are there with different second names, last names, and I'm just clicking on the Sam that I want. Once I click on that, I see friend request. What will I see once I do that? If I go in, I'll see. Okay, it's just. Okay. So once I go in, it says add friend and message. If I click on add friend, if there is no friends, if there are no mutual friends, it is showing a pop-up saying that, do you really want to send out a friend request? If we have mutual friends, it just sends it out. Now, this is the current business process flow. I'm giving a rudimentary example because everybody uses Facebook. Likewise, there's going to be other application process flows in intranet applications in that New York Metropolitan Transport Division. There's going to be a complicated application process flow to issue a bus pass or a train pass, right? Or it could be business process flow to onboard an employee into a banking organization. So they are going to handle a lot of sensitive information. So there's going to be a business process flow involved, right? So there could be other complicated business process flow. The one that I'm talking about is rudimentary. You know about this, but then when it comes to the New York Metropolitan Division, you might not know. When it comes to onboarding a employee into Chase Bank, you might not know that. So you have to go sit down with end user or end users. It's mostly going to be end user, only one person, and then understand the current business process flow. When I say understand the current business process flow, think about the Facebook example of sending out a friend request. That is only one business process flow. I'm not telling you to understand Facebook. Each and every flow involved in business process flow and application process flow involved in Facebook. I'm not telling you to understand everything. Just sending out a friend request. Why? Why is that? Because that one-liner, that name in that enhancement says, that name is saying refine sending out or refine and enhance. Okay, sending out friend request. So this is what it's saying. This is the one-liner. So based on this, you got an idea, right? If you are not even able to get an idea based on this one line, go and talk to the business liaison, and they will explain it, and then you document it. Now you have an idea of what this is. So now talk to the business liaison. Talk to the business liaison. Who you talk to is very important. You don't want to go and talk to the director. Go and talk to business liaison, and then tell them to connect you to an end user expert for this, so that you can understand the current Current is the keyword. Current business process flow. You're not going to talk about the enhancement. You're going to talk about the current business process flow, meaning how to send out a friend request, meaning all the complicated processes involved in onboarding an employee for Chase Bank or for the Metropolitan Transportation Division for them to give out a bus pass or a train pass or whatever it is. I think that's a very simple process, but they might give out something else, right? Or there might be other internal process involved. So you want to understand that holistically. Current process, not the enhancement, okay? So you'll sit down with them, you'll tell them to share the screen, and then you'll tell them to do it. So you'll sit down with them, they'll share the screen, and they'll send out a friend request. They'll explain every step along the way. Same thing applies for the Chase Bank. Same thing applies for the New York Metropolitan Department or Division or whatever it is. They'll show everything. What happens on the level of application, what happens outside the application, meaning if an so say for example there is a customer service manager, and then the customer service manager is going to manage 5 or 6 customer service reps. If they are just going to bring in less than 5 leads per month, then you have to send out an email to your management saying this staff is only sending in less than 5 leads per month. You'll have to send out an email to your management. Is this happening on the level of application? No. It's happening in Outlook. But then they should also explain this to you. You have to ask, and you should also get info on what is happening outside the application, and what's happening within the application, and the business process flow, and the purpose of this business process flow. Why are we doing it in the first place? Why am I sending out a friend request? Reason being, I have a friend. I was in touch I was with that person in school. I was friends with him in school. Now suddenly I remembered him. I want to know where this guy is. So I typed in his name, found him out, sent out a friend request, and then I will send messages and catch up. Same thing applies for the onboarding an employee into Chase. Why are we doing that? Because we want to onboard an employee. Same thing applies for New York Metropolitan Department or Division. Same thing applies for the customer service application. So another example is it's taking some time. Okay, now let's assume that we have to come up with these 2 donut charts. Right now, these 2 donut charts are not there. Okay, and right now the loan purpose revenue generation and segment revenue generation, we are seeing it from a account-based ledger. Okay, we are seeing it out of a account-based ledger, right? But then if you see it in visualization chart, you'll get an understanding quick, and then you don't have to see chunks and chunks of data. So what will the end user do? They'll tell you right now, once you open the application, this page is not going to be displayed. This page is going to be somewhere inside the application. So how to go to this page? What are they currently doing in this page? What are they doing to see the loan purpose revenue and segment revenue currently? They have to go, and they have to go somewhere outside the application, and then they have to access the account-based ledger, and then they have to see it. Which exact spot do they have to look for the revenue? That also you have to understand. So you have to by doing this, you are getting familiarity with the application when it comes to that application process flow and that business process flow. Any questions? Any questions up to now? This is very, very important topic.
Yes, my question is, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I lost connection again. So my question, and I might have missed this, is, so when you join a new company, that company already has a training in place, or you have to go and find help yourself? don't they just do onboarding like automatically when you join a new company?
Okay, this has got nothing to do with the training. Training is something else. I did not say training, I said knowledge transfer. When you join a new company, be it developer, tester, BA, or whatever it is, they'll give you knowledge transfer. It could be a trainer or it could be another fellow BA. Okay, that is another thing. This happens to everybody. Separate that. Analysis phase is something else. Separate this. They are two different things. Analysis phase is for you to get an understanding of the current business process flow and application process flow. If the enhancement is refine and enhance sending out a friend request, right? Then I explained about the sending out a friend request process in Facebook, right? We have to understand that. I'm talking about friend request in Facebook because that is something that we can all understand. But in real time, it could be Chase Bank or how to onboard an employee or how to give out it could be about some mortgage loan process. It could be about some credit card process. You have to understand the current process flow. Just like sending out a friend request, whatever application process flow you go through, same thing you'll go through in Chase to onboard an employee. In New York Metropolitan Department to give out a bus pass. There is a process involved. Or in this case, if you want to get the information of the loan purpose revenue, you have to come to this page, right? You have to log in, you have to click on a specific hyperlink or a button and come to this page. And right now we are not able to see these. I'm just reverse engineering in this case. These two donut charts we are going to develop in the future. But then we want to know the loan purpose revenue and segment revenue. How are they figuring it out? They are figuring it out based on account-based ledgers. So as per the enhancement, we have to bring. We are going to code these two to make that process simpler. But then currently, how are they looking at the revenue? The current process. We have to understand that so that we can go to the requirements meeting and gather these two enhancements. Or it could be something else too, right? So that is what I'm explaining when I say analysis.
Okay.
Any questions? Any other questions? This is very important. Many BAs, they don't know that they have to do analysis. They have to be given analysis time. They don't know this. They'll right away go to the requirements gathering meeting. They will not understand even a word. The project manager will be driving that meeting. They'll be glorified typewriters. They'll be typing everything that's happening. They'll not understand anything. They'll be glorified typewriters. Steno could do it, right? They'll just write everything, type everything down. I'm pretty sure everything will be only 50% correct because they don't know the context. And then they'll talk to the project manager. Of course, the project manager will explain everything to them in less than 20 minutes. And then they'll come up with the business requirement document. Project manager doesn't care because he wants you to do the work, so he'll break it down for you and then say, please document and give it to me. And then he or she wants you to sit down and document. But then you should not be the majority. You should be above the majority. You should be more efficient. You should be better than the best. In order to accomplish that, you have to use your analysis phase. This is your right. This is your right as a business analyst to do this analysis. Nobody can take this right away from you. So you have to do this analysis. Many BAs, majority of the BAs who are new to the organization or new to the role, they don't know that they can do this. So that's why I am putting a lot of emphasis on this, and even in the upcoming session, I'll put more emphasis on this analysis phase because a BA is only as good as the analysis phase. Any questions? If you have any questions, feel free to ask because this is the most crucial part in this entire training program.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, so, okay. I've also come across a lot of terms in terms of business analysis, like say, there are some series of steps involved, like, they do an enterprise analysis, they do the requirement management and elicitation, requirement analysis, communication, solution validation. It all happens as part of the business analysis, right? So are we going to deep dive on that?
Yes, elicitation is something that's different. That is something that you do in the requirements phase.
Okay, okay.
And what are the other terminologies that you said?
Correct. So solution validation.
Yeah, solution.
One is enterprise analysis, and then go ahead. Yeah.
Solution validation happens after the requirements are gathered. Only then you can provide an IT solution. So that also happens during the requirement phase or after the requirements phase, during the design phase. So we'll go into that in the upcoming session. But then I'm talking about getting familiarity on the current process flow of that.
Correct.
So
that I got it. That I got it. No, more from the business analysis I was coming from. Yeah, this I got it. Yeah.
So any questions on this analysis? Because in this entire training, this is the most important part. If you do this properly, you'll have a very comfortable time actually. This and systems, if you know systems and then if you know this, you'll know enough. And if you also know what you are not supposed to know, okay, that is very important. Many BAs, they don't know what they are not supposed to know. And one of the BAs that I worked with in the past, he was trying to code in .NET. I was saying, what are you doing? I'm trying to code something. I said, why? You are a BA. No, the developer asked me to do so. And I just thought in my mind, if the developer is going to tell jump from the 4th floor or 5th floor, will you do it? I thought that in my mind, because when he said that, I was like surprised. And I told him right away, don't do this. That's the developer's task. You don't need to do this as a business analyst. But then since he was new to the role, he didn't know what is not supposed to know. He might have been a .NET developer in the past. I could be something else in the past. I could be I could be a database administrator in the past, and now I'm doing business analysis. That doesn't matter. You should know what you're not supposed to know, what you're not supposed to know, and what you're not supposed to do. That's very important. So if you know how to do analysis, if you know systems, if you know what you're not supposed to know, you are good. So I think somebody else was about to talk, and then I was talking. So yeah, go ahead. Okay, sounds good. I think yeah. So we can call it a day. I've started with analysis and we've covered a good amount of analysis. But then I'll talk about analysis some more in tomorrow's session. And in tomorrow's session, we'll talk about analysis more. We'll deep dive more. We'll talk about all these ceremonies in depth. And once that's done, I'll show you how to come up with the business process flow. After we are done with analysis, I will actually screen share using Ballsmic or MS Visio. I'll show you how to come up with the business process flow for a process flow, for an application process flow that we are all aware of, something that we use in our day-to-day life. I'll also show that to you, and that way you'll understand how to do analysis properly and how to document it. So all these things are coming up. So yeah, thanks for your time. And I think we've gone above our time, 20 minutes above our time. I'm sorry for that. And I think
so tomorrow, what time the session is? So that I don't miss out.
Moving forward, it's going to be same time, 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time or 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if there are candidates joining from other places, it's going to be 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, converted to whatever time zone that you're in.
Okay, it will be 9 p.m. I guess. Okay, sure. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you all. We'll meet tomorrow, and do go through everything that we covered today. Watch some videos, go through some blogs if you like reading. If you're a visual learner, go through videos, but just make sure that you go through all these things. And if you have any questions, feel free to text me or email me. I'll try my best to get back by the end of the day. So, and do your own research also, only on the topics that I cover. Things that I didn't cover, you don't have to go through. for your own understanding. So thanks for your time all. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.